to you about the best paper to use for your mixed media art projects. This comes up all the time, and I don't think people realize, no fault of their own, how important your substrate is or your paper that you're working on, especially when you're doing mixed media work, because there's so much water involved. Watery, liquidy, gluey, painty, right? It's a mess. So you can't have paper that can't withstand all that, because we're gonna be using all our things, right? And we want to make sure that our paper can hold up. So what paper do you use? Well, you use watercolor paper. That's all the paper you need, my friends. But there are 3 types of paper, and you will notice if you go to the store that paper can be super cheap or it can be like stupid expensive. So I also wanted to talk about that as well too, so that you know just what to do when you're headed to the store to grab some watercolor paper for your mixed media art project. So before I go any further, my name's Campbell, and this is my mixed media channel here on YouTube, where I talk all things mixed media and I make things easy so you can have more fun. I also have a drawing channel too if you want to check out how to draw. I have lots of videos on my Campbell Draws channel as well. So back to paper. I mentioned there's different types, 3 different types, and there's also different price points. I'm gonna make this video short and sweet so you know just what to pick out. First of all, what makes a watercolor paper quality? Let's actually talk about the 3 types first. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead. We have 3 kinds: hot press, cold press, and rough. Hot press is smooth. It's super smooth. It actually can even feel like Bristol. It can have that level of smoothness. Okay, so the only thing to remember about hot press, other than it's smooth, is it can't handle as much water as the 2 other kinds. Okay, so that's number 1. There's also there's no texture on here whatsoever. That it really is smooth. Type 2 is called cold press, and that actually has quite a bit of texture on it. As you can see, when I've have my brush just dry brushing over, you can just visually see the texture. This is gouache, and this is right on directly onto the pad. Another cool thing about watercolor paper for mixed media artists is that you do not need to gesso your paper first. Gesso becomes super glopped everywhere in mixed media for some reason. It really only needs to become a primer for acrylic paints, but watercolor paper is perfectly suited to your acrylic paints already. So if you want to save a little money, you just skip on the gesso part and you're fine. If you're using acrylics, if you're using watercolor, straight on the paper you go. You do not need any gesso first. Let me show you rough cut. Rough cut paper is actually super cool. It's chunky, it's thick, and talk about texture. Can you see? Holy texture. I mean, it is undeniable. You can see it from a mile away. Okay, so that's the difference. It's so absorbent. It's almost like a sponge. It's like you're painting on a kitchen sponge. It's really, really cool, but your watercolors, if you're using watercolors, will have a different effect. The salt isn't gonna work the same way as it would work on a hot press piece of paper, right? But for mixed media projects, if you wanna do heavy duty, insane kind of collaging with a ton of stuff, this paper is no joke. It is it's paper on steroids. So there are really big differences between those 3 kinds of paper. But again, you can skip the gesso on all of them. You can go right to collage. You can go right to acrylics. You can go right to watercolors on any of those kind of papers. Now let's talk about cost. When it comes to cost, figuring out what's what and what's worth it and what's not worth it is very easy. There's 2 little factors that you need to pay attention to that will tell you what is worth it, and I'm going to show you my favorite brand, so I'm going to just give you all the answers. The biggest cost factors are the percentage of cotton that the paper is made out of. The higher the percentage, the higher the price. That's super straightforward. So Arches is one of the most expensive kinds. It is as now we know cotton is a factor, 100% pure cotton, and this is 100% more expensive than everything else. Okay, so weight is the other determining factor. So 300 grams or 140 pounds is pretty much, there is heavier, but that's like your standard. This is your standard A+ paper, also the most expensive. Okay, so the heaviest and the highest concentration of cotton. Okay, no joke. So this is for fine artists. You should not be doing color swatching on these sheets. They typically come in blocks like this, so your paper stays nice and firm and does not buckle. Okay. On the other spectrum is paper that doesn't even tell you the percentage. Usually if there's 0% listed, then you know you're in the cheapest category. It's probably like 10% or something like that. So this, and by the way, this is my favorite kind to do practice work on, is by Campbell. And again, it doesn't tell you at all what the percentage of cotton is. I do, however, at a minimum, only recommend using this heavyweight, especially for mixed media work, okay? So your choices are usually 140 or 90 pounds. Don't use the 90 pounds. It's just not rigorous. It's not rigid enough to be able to handle the rigors of mixed media work. But this is perfect for practice. You can do collage on here because of the weight. It's still okay. You can really do anything you want, either hot press or cold press. This one, okay, it does identify itself as cold press. I was gonna say, I don't even know if it even has a hot press equivalent. And that is by far the cheapest one that I don't mind using. There's cheaper kinds, but that's kind of like the minimum quality that I'm used to, that I'm willing to go. This is my favorite brand and my favorite kinds, and I only use these two now. So these are both 25% cotton, so it's obviously 75% less cotton than the Arches, but the price is also very much reduced as well. It's still more expensive. It might even be twice as expensive as our cheapy Campbell, okay? But I know that I can work on here and give it as a gift. I know I can do work on here and it will be museum quality and it will last a long, long time. So it's a great compromise between quality, value, and price. Again, it has the nice heavy weight, the 140 pounds. It has a high enough cotton rate that at least percentage at least shows up on the package, but I think the price is great. I just love the hot press. Is so smooth, really easy to work on. It gives you different effects, again, because of the texture as the cold press, but this is my favorite. It's really heavy duty. It's really heavy duty, and it can handle anything. So if you are a mixed media artist, you're looking for great quality at a not so bad price, I highly recommend the Fabriano. It's my fave. And then as far as one step up, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more, oh, now I can't find it. Awesome. I do also recommend Stonehenge. I think I ripped the cover off of this, but this is a Stonehenge 12, what is this called? Stonehenge cold press, sorry. And I believe this is also 25% cotton, but it feels much more absorbent than the cold press. And by the way, cold press is typically more absorbent than hot press, just so you know. If you're brand new to watercolors or mixed media, if you are heavy duty into liquid, go for the cold press every single time, because it really can withstand as much water as you can throw at it. So cold press is your top choice if you're a heavy liquid-based mixed media artist. If you kind of just like do light wash applications, maybe you're used to using mixed media paper, don't use hot press watercolor paper. Instead, it's still going to be more absorbent than any mixed media paper. It's wonderful quality to work on, and it will just give you great results. So I hope this video helps. I'll have links to all these products in the description box. You can also go to my Amazon shop to find links to all my favorite art supplies as well. If you have any other questions about supplies, please let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to do a video on it in the future. And watch this video to learn more about my favorite brushes. I will see you again soon.